If you have turned on the television, opened a newspaper, or scrolled through your news feed in the last 48 hours, you have been bombarded with a singular, triumphant, and dangerously misleading message. The headlines are screaming it in bold, celebratory letters. Black Friday smashes records. Consumer spending hits all-time high. The American economy is unstoppable. The recession is canceled. They are telling you that despite the crushing inflation of the last 3 years, despite the wave of white-collar layoffs, and despite the political chaos engulfing Washington, the American consumer is stronger, more resilient, and more eager to spend than ever before. They are telling you that because people spent $10 billion online this weekend, the economy has achieved escape velocity. They want you to believe that the soft landing is here, that the Fed has performed a miracle, and that the party will continue uninterrupted into 2026. I am here to tell you, with absolute certainty, that this is a lie. It is not just a rounding error. It is not just a difference of opinion between optimists and pessimists. It is a statistical manipulation, a psyop, designed to keep you spending money you do not have, on things you do not need, to prop up a financial system that is fundamentally broken and running on fumes. The record sales numbers you are seeing are a mirage. They are a nominal illusion. Yes, the amount of dollars spent went up, but that is only because the price of everything you buy, from electronics to toys to clothing, has skyrocketed due to the accumulated inflation of the last 4 years. If you adjust those record sales for real inflation, not the watered-down CPI number the government feeds you, but the real cost of living, the actual volume of goods purchased didn't go up. It crashed. People aren't buying more gifts. They are paying drastically more for fewer, lower-quality gifts. They aren't thriving. They are struggling to maintain appearances in a world that is becoming unaffordable. But there is a darker, more terrifying secret hiding behind those sales numbers. A secret that the retail giants like Amazon and Walmart, and the big banks like JP Morgan, are desperate to keep hidden until the Q4 earnings reports come out in January. That secret is how those purchases were paid for. They weren't paid for with savings. The personal savings rate has plummeted to near zero. They weren't paid for with checking account surpluses. They were paid for with debt, and not just normal credit card debt, which has already breached $1.1 trillion, but a new, unregulated, invisible shadow debt called Buy Now, Pay Later, BNPL. While the media celebrates the spending spree, Warren Buffett is silently looking at the balance sheet of the American household, and he is horrified. He isn't buying the resilient consumer narrative. He is betting heavily on the exhausted consumer. Look at his portfolio. Look at his actions, not his words. He has aggressively sold shares in Apple, a company that depends entirely on the global middle class feeling rich enough to upgrade their expensive gadgets every year. He has exited positions in consumer credit banks like Capital One and Ally Financial, the banks that lend to the subprime consumer. He is hoarding cash at a rate never seen before in history because he knows that when the bills for this record holiday come due in January 2026, the consumer won't be able to pay. We are standing on the edge of a consumer default supercycle. The warning signs are flashing red, but the media is taping over them with record sales stickers to keep the stock market afloat for one more month. Today, we are going to deconstruct the lie piece by piece. We will expose the phantom debt that isn't showing up in the official credit reports yet, but is rotting the foundation of the economy. We will simulate exactly what happens when the BNPL bubble bursts in early 2026. And most importantly, we will give you the Buffett playbook for the consumer crash, the specific actionable rules you need to follow to protect your wealth when the spending stops, the liquidity dries up, and the repo man comes knocking at the door of the middle class. To understand why you are being lied to and why this lie is so dangerous to your financial health, you have to understand the difference between nominal data and real data. The government and the financial media love nominal data. It makes everything look like growth. If a gallon of milk cost 3 SORs last year and 6 SOR this year, and you buy 1 gallon, the government statistics say consumer spending on milk doubled, the dairy economy is growing by 100%. But in the real world, the world where you live and pay bills, you didn't buy more milk. You just got poorer. You spent twice as much of your labor to get the exact same amount of nutrition. That is the reality of the record Black Friday. It is an inflation event masquerading as a growth event. The retailers are hiking prices to cover their soaring costs. and the consumer is using debt to pay those prices just to stay in the same place. But the deeper deception, the mechanism that makes 2026 a potential catastrophe, is the financing. In previous economic cycles, when consumers ran out of money, they stopped spending. That was the natural brake on the economy. It signaled a recession, prices fell, inventory cleared, and balance was restored. It was painful, but it was self-correcting. This time, Silicon Valley and Wall Street created a way to remove the brakes. They invented Buy Now, Pay Later, BNPL. Services like Affirm, Klarna, Afterpay, and PayPal Pay Later. This sounds like a modern convenience. Split your payment into 4 easy installments. It sounds friendly. It is actually a predatory trap designed to bypass the psychological pain of paying. It allows you to split a $100 purchase into 4 payments of $25. No interest usually, no hard credit check, instant approval. Here is the mechanism of the trap that almost no one understands. Because these loans are short-term, often 6 weeks or less, and because the providers are not technically banks, most of this debt is not reported to the major credit bureaus, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. This means the Federal Reserve, the big banks, the stock market algorithms, and even the government cannot see this debt. It is shadow debt. It is off the books. It is the dark matter of the financial universe. We have millions of Americans who have maxed out their traditional credit cards. Their FICO scores are dropping. They have been rejected for new Visa or MasterCard limits, but they can still use BNPL. So they are stacking loans. They use Klarna to buy clothes for the kids. They use Affirm to buy the new TV. They use Afterpay to buy groceries at Walmart. To the banking system, these people look solvent because their credit report doesn't show the 15 microloans they have outstanding. But in reality, they have committed 110% of their future paycheck to these various apps. They are technically bankrupt, but the system hasn't registered the default yet. Warren Buffett understands shadow liabilities. He knows that you cannot hide debt forever. Accounting tricks work for a quarter. Cash flow reality works forever. Eventually, the bill comes due. The record sales of late 2025 are essentially a massive cash advance taken out by the American middle class against their future labor in 2026. They have pulled forward all their spending power from next year into this year to survive inflation and maintain a lifestyle they can no longer afford. When January 2026 starts, that spending power will be gone. It has already been spent. The air pocket in consumption will be violent. Stores will go from record sales in December to 0 sales in February. Inventory will pile up. Cash flow will freeze. This is the mechanism of the crash Buffett is preparing for. A sudden stop in the velocity of money caused by the exhaustion of the consumer. We need to move this from abstract economics to the brutal, visceral reality of a Tuesday morning in late January 2026. I want you to close your eyes and imagine this scenario. It is the credit hangover, and it is going to hurt. It is January 20th, 2026. The Christmas lights are down. The euphoria of the holidays is a distant memory. The new year, new me optimism has faded. It is a gray, cold Tuesday morning. You are sitting at your kitchen table with a stack of mail, or more likely, a list of terrifying email notifications on your phone. The first email is from your main credit card issuer. You made the minimum payment last month, but the interest rate just adjusted up to 29.99% because the Fed hasn't cut rates as much as people hoped, and the bank classifies you as higher risk now. Your balance is barely moving. You paid $300, and $280 of it went to interest. You feel like a hamster on a wheel. The second email is from Affirm. The payment for the new OLED TV you bought on Black Friday is due, $75. The third is from Klarna. The payment for the winter coats, $50. The fourth is from Afterpay. The payment for the Christmas gifts, $100. The fifth is from a service you forgot you even used to buy concert tickets for a show next summer, $125. Suddenly you realize that these small, manageable payments add up to $500 a month. That is more than your mortgage used to be. That is half your take-home pay. You log into your checking account to pay them. The balance is $420. You don't have it. You physically do not have the liquidity to service the shadow debt. You try to juggle. You think, I'll pay the car payment later. I'll skip the BNPL payments. What are they going to do? It's just an app. 2 days later, your phone starts ringing. It's not the polite bank customer service asking if you forgot. It's the collections agencies. Because BNPL loans are unregulated and unsecured, these companies sell the bad debt fast. They are aggressive. They text you. They email you. They call your work. You need food. You go to the grocery store. You try to use your BNPL app at the checkout to buy groceries because your credit cards are maxed out. Declined. The algorithm knows you missed a payment on a different platform. The data sharing has kicked in. The shadow credit line has been cut instantly. You have no liquidity. You drive home, feeling the knot of anxiety in your chest tightening. As you pull into your driveway, you see a tow truck backing up to your car. The repo man is back in business. In 2026, auto loan delinquencies have hit an all-time high, surpassing 2008 levels. The car you bought with a 0% down deal is being repossessed because you missed 2 payments while trying to pay off the Christmas gifts. This is the consumer cliff. It happens all at once. It's not a slow decline. One day you are spending, the next day you are cut off from the financial system. Now, multiply your kitchen table panic by 50 million households. Restaurants become empty on Friday nights because no one has disposable income. Amazon delivery trucks disappear from the streets. Home Depot parking lots are vacant because no one is renovating. The companies that celebrated record sales in December issue profit warnings in February. They miss earnings by 40%. Their stocks crash 30%, 40%, 50%. The retail apocalypse begins. Layoffs begin. The very job you need to pay off the debt is now at risk because the company you work for has no customers. This is the simulation Buffett has run. He has seen the data on savings rates hitting historic lows, below 3%. He has seen the credit card balances hitting historic highs. He knows that you cannot squeeze blood from a stone. He has sold the retailers and the banks because he knows the customer is bankrupt, and the bankruptcy is just waiting to be filed. If you are currently juggling payments, or if you have used buy now, pay later for essentials like food or gas, comment below. Tell us your story. We need to break the stigma and show the reality of the middle-class struggle. We must validate this thesis with history. The buy now, pay later trap is not new. It is just a digital rebranding of the exact mechanism that caused the Great Depression. History rhymes, and this rhyme is terrifying. Let's travel back to 1927. The Roaring Twenties. The economy was booming. The stock market was hitting new highs every day. Everyone seemed rich. Everyone was driving new Ford Model Ts. Everyone had a new radio in their living room. Everyone had a washing machine. How did they afford it? Wages hadn't gone up that much. The average worker wasn't rich. They afforded it through the financial innovation of the decade. The installment plan. $1 down and $1 a week. That was the slogan plastered on every store window. It was the original BNPL. It allowed the working class to consume like the rich. It pulled forward demand from the 1930s into the 1920s. It created record sales for General Electric, Ford, and RCA. Stocks soared because earnings looked incredible. But by 1929, the consumer hit the wall. They had bought everything they could afford on credit. They had pledged their future income for the next 3 years to pay for the radio they bought last year. They had no more capacity to borrow. Sales slowed down. Inventory piled up in warehouses. Factories cut shifts because new orders stopped. Workers were fired. Because the workers had debt, they couldn't survive unemployment. They defaulted on the radios and cars. The banks that lent the money failed. The market crashed. The Great Depression wasn't just a stock market crash. It was a consumer debt deflation. It was the violent unwinding of the installment plan bubble. We are living in the roaring 2020s of debt. The iPhone is the new radio. The Tesla is the new Model T. Affirm and Klarna are the new installment plan. The psychology is identical. I want it now. I will pay for it later. Buffett's mentor, Ben Graham, lived through the 1929 crash. Buffett studies this obsessively. He knows that when debt is used to buy depreciating consumer goods, assets that lose value, it creates a temporary sugar high, followed by a diabetic coma. We are currently in the sugar high. The record sales of 2025 are the peak of the sugar rush. 2026 is the coma. Buffett is positioning for 1930. He is holding cash so he can buy the assets that people will be forced to sell. He knows that in a debt deflation, the person with no debt and liquid cash becomes the king. He wins by default because everyone else forfeits. But there is a plot twist to this crisis, a hidden mechanism that makes 2026 different and perhaps more volatile than 1929. It is the regulatory backlash and the weaponization of credit scores. Right now, BNPL is largely unregulated. It lives in a gray area. But when the defaults start hitting in 2026 and millions of Americans complain they were tricked into debt, the regulators, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, will step in with a heavy hand. Here is the twist. The regulators won't bail you out. They will shut down the credit. In an attempt to protect consumers, the government will pass strict affordability checks for BNPL and credit cards. They will cap interest rates. They will demand that every BNPL loan be reported to the credit bureaus immediately. This sounds good on paper, but the unintended consequence is that credit availability will vanish. The banks and fintech apps, facing new regulations and massive losses, will simply turn off the tap. They will close millions of accounts deemed high risk. They will lower credit limits from $10,000 to $500 overnight to protect their own balance sheets. This is the liquidity rug pull. Just when you need credit the most to survive inflation and unemployment, the system will take it away. You will go to use your card to buy gas and it will be declined because the bank lowered your limit while you were sleeping. This will accelerate the crash. It will turn a recession into a depression. You won't be able to borrow your way out of trouble this time. The bridge is being burned at both ends. Buffett sees this regulatory risk. That is why he sold the banks. He knows that banks are about to become public utilities, highly regulated, unable to lend freely, and forced to eat the losses of the consumer. He doesn't want to own a utility that loses money. He wants to own a utility that makes money, energy. He knows that when the credit cycle turns, the lender is the villain and the borrower is the victim, and politics will favor the victim at the expense of the shareholder. This leads us to the masterclass sector analysis. Let's look deeply at exactly what Buffett is selling to prove he sees the consumer crash coming. Actions speak louder than words. The Apple sale. Buffett sold nearly 50% of his massive stake in Apple. For years, Apple was his favorite business. He called it indispensable. Why sell now? Because Apple is the ultimate luxury consumer discretionary stock. You don't need an iPhone 16 Pro Max. You want one. When the credit card is maxed out and the BNPL app is declined, you don't buy the $200 phone. You keep the old one for another year. Apple's revenue growth depends entirely on the upgrade cycle. The debt crisis breaks the upgrade cycle. Buffett is calling the top on the consumer's ability to overpay for technology. The bank exit. He sold Bank of America, US, Bancorp, and others. Banks are the holders of the credit card debt and the auto loans. When the consumer defaults, the bank takes the hit. The bank's capital is wiped out. Buffett is getting out before the write-offs destroy the bank's earnings. He knows that the delinquency rate data is lagging and the real damage is much worse. The Capital One, ally, avoidance. Buffett has historically liked consumer finance, but he is staying far away from the subprime lenders right now. He knows that is ground zero. What is he buying instead? He is buying things you cannot stop buying, even if you are broke. He is buying the base layer of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Energy. Occidental Chevron. You have to drive to the job interview. You have to heat your house in winter. Energy is non-negotiable. Even in a depression, energy consumption drops less than iPhone sales. Insurance. Geico, Charles Chubb. You have to have car insurance to drive legally. It is mandatory. People pay insurance premiums before they pay credit cards. Food logistics. Kroger Railroads. You have to eat. He owns the rails, BNSF, that move the grain and the coal. He is moving from wants to needs. He is moving from credit-fueled growth to survival essentials. He is moving from the financial economy to the real economy. The blast zone for 2026 is the retail sector. Target, Macy's, Lululemon, Best Buy. The fintech sector, PayPal, Block, Affirm, and the auto industry, which relies on loans. These industries depend on cheap debt and confident consumers. Both are gone. If you hold these stocks, you are holding a burning match. Now, we must pivot to the concrete actions you need to take. The warning is useless without a survival guide. The title says the record sales are a lie, so how do you live in the truth? How do you protect your family from the fallout? Action 1. The shadow debt audit. You need to find every single BNPL loan you have. Open every app. Affirm, Klarna, PayPal Pay, Later, Sezzle. Write them down. Most people don't even know how much they owe because it's not in one place. Treat these as emergency debt. Pay them off first. They are dangerous because they are short-term. They hit your cash flow immediately. Clear the decks. If you have to sell things to pay them off, do it. Action 2. The subscription purge. Look at your bank statement for the last 90 days. How many monthly subscriptions do you have? Streaming services, subscription boxes, apps, gym memberships you don't use, cloud storage you don't need. These are vampire costs. They bleed you dry $15 at a time. Cancel everything non-essential. Be ruthless. If you haven't used it in 30 days, kill it. Free up that cash flow to build your defense. You can always resubscribe later if you really miss it. You won't. Action 3. Stop financing depreciating assets. Do not buy a car on a 7-year loan. Do not buy furniture on credit. Do not buy clothes on a plan. If you cannot pay cash for it today, you cannot afford it. Return to the cash standard. If you force yourself to pay cash, you will spend 20% less automatically because the pain of paying is real. Credit removes the pain. Cash restores it. Restoring that pain is how you save your future. Drive the old car until the wheels fall off. Sit on the old couch. Action 4. Build a fuck you fund. Buffett has $382 billion. You need your version of that. You need 6 months of cash expenses in a high-yield savings account. Not invested in the market. Cash. This fund gives you the power to say no. No to bad job conditions. No to predatory loans. No to panic selling your house when you lose your job. When the credit crunch hits in 2026 and banks cut credit limits, your cash fund becomes your personal bank. It is your sovereignty. Action 5. Shift investments to needs. Look at your stock portfolio. Are you holding companies that sell expensive toys? Or companies that sell toothpaste, electricity, and trash collection? Rotate into consumer staples, XLP, utilities, XLU, and energy, XLE. These sectors outperform in a recession because their revenue is sticky. Be on the side of the table that gets paid first. Avoid the companies that depend on the consumer's credit card. The final verdict on the record sales of 2025 is that it is a trap. It is a trap set by retailers to unload inventory before the crash. It is a trap set by banks to hook you on interest before the rates stay high forever. The media is cheering because they sell ads to these companies. They need you to spend. They need you to believe. But Warren Buffett is not cheering. He is leaving the party. He has put on his coat, taken his cash, and is waiting by the door. He knows the music is about to stop. You must do the same. Do not believe the hype. Do not finance a lifestyle you cannot afford to impress people who don't care. The consumer is not strong. The consumer is on life support. And in 2026, the plug gets pulled. You need to position yourself now. Get lean, get liquid, get real. Be like Buffett. Ignore the flashy headlines, look at the debt ledger, and realize that the only person coming to save you is you. The sale is a lie. The debt is real. The crash is coming. I am immensely grateful to you for staying until the end of this critical warning. Understanding the psychology of the market is the only way to prevent it from manipulating you. If you found this breakdown valuable, make sure to like and subscribe so we can keep bringing you the truth about the financial system that the brochures leave out. Stay vigilant, stay solvent, and we will see you in the next video.